What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I just want to kind of share my thoughts on how the Burning Crusade has been so far, some of the issues we've seen since launch and some things that have gotten fixed, and then kind of everything in between, right? Because I feel like me personally, my experience from the beginning has been pretty damn good. I've had a really good time. I leveled a warrior in the beginning with the armor bug in the game, right? So for those of you who don't know, the first couple of weeks, TBC launched with an armor bug that essentially made it so all the mobs in the Burning Crusade had pretty much zero armor, or close to it. So anyone who was playing a physical DPS, especially like Warrior Rogue, you felt like God tier. You were like, wow, this is kind of crazy. I don't remember this being so strong. Anyways, that made it into the live game. Everyone was like kind of confused as to what was going on, why, melee cleaves were doing so well. Blizzard then corrected this. Not really sure how that armor bug made it into the live game when the armor bug was confirmed to be on the PTR before the launch of TBC. But either way, it was missed and it was in the live version of the game. And then Blizzard fixed it. Everyone got kind of mad about that, obviously. If you were playing a warrior or a rogue and then your damage got cut in half overnight, it just didn't feel good. But it wasn't really supposed to be that way. It wasn't a nerf or anything. This is the way that it was supposed to be. The armor just wasn't working correctly in the Burning Crusade. So fast forward, we are now going on our, I think, 7th lockout of the raids, meaning the raids have been out for 7 weeks, and this is going to be our 7th lockout clearing these raids. I'm still 6 pieces from Biss, right? I haven't seen a DST, haven't seen a Spite Blade. I need the cloak off Shade in Karazhan. I need a few things here. I am by no means close to Biss when there's people that are already Biss. I have people coming in my chat in stream talking about how they've gotten 3 DSTs on 3 different characters so far. Now, I want to talk about my experience in the Burning Crusade so far because there's something very different from the last Burning Crusade that we played. It really is vastly different. So we're going to just go, full screen game here with the cam in the corner, and we're just flying around and we'll just, have this little bit of a chat. So week 1, 2, and 3 of my experience in the Burning Crusade has been what was great. The guild, we have 2 25-man raid teams that were going. We were cranking. We were like a giga-parse group for the first few weeks. And then slowly the cracks started to show, right? And I don't know if anyone else has had this issue. I'm sure not everyone, but the cracks started to show. You lose a Biss healer here, you lose a couple of really good DPS there, and then that kind of snowballs. And it seems like every single week we're getting like 1 to 3 people who either no call, no show, and never log on again. They quit, or work happens and they can't make the raid times, and that's all understandable and completely fine, and I get it. But I do feel like we are struggling, my raid team in particular, which we're a great raid team. We have cleared since night 1 every single raid, every single week, no matter what, even taking pugs in to fill these roles. I do feel that there's a different sense of a different player type in the Burning Crusade Anniversary compared to the last time that we played TBC. This time it definitely feels a little bit more disconnected. I feel like people are a lot more disconnected with their characters. They're a little bit more disconnected with their guilds. And I think the reason for this is pretty simple. We know that this is seasonal TBC this time, right? And I think that when that, little nostalgia trip ends a few weeks in and you do all these grinds and you're doing your attunements and you're grinding heroics and you're farming incredible amounts of gold just to buy your raid consumes every week, I think a lot of people are stepping back and being like, well, why am I going to put in this much time and effort into the Burning Crusade this time around when this time we know it's going to end? We know it's a little bit more of a sped up version. And really, it's just kind of a waiting room for Classic Plus or a waiting room for Wrath of a Lich King. For some people, I guess, I've talked to some people and that's what they're waiting for. And it kind of proves my theory of what I've been talking about for the past 2 years. Really, as we approach the mid to end portion of Season of Discovery, I started saying that I don't think seasonal WoW works. And it's for that reason alone, right? You got to take Anniversary had a really healthy population all the way through vanilla, right? Leading up into Burning Crusade. Burning Crusade has an incredibly healthy population, 300k plus raid logs. There's a lot of people playing this game. And the problem is that everyone knows it's seasonal. So I really do feel like people are a lot less committed to their guilds. A lot less people are committed to the experience overall. They're going to play it just for fun and just for what it is, exactly like what everyone's doing, and not feel that super sense of commitment because it is seasonal. Now, add on top of that the fact that the Burning Crusade, my favorite expansion, is a very, very grind-heavy expansion. There's a lot of grinds in the Burning Crusade, rep grinds, heroic grinds, attunements. I mean, the Eye attunement alone, if you haven't started it yet, I would, is a pretty big grind, right? You got to do heroics in the attunement. You got to do tons of quests. There's a lot of grinds in this version of the game. Now, Blizzard did add things to make this a little bit better for people, in terms of adding account-wide attunements. So if you get attuned for Karazhan or Tempest Keep on your main, you no longer need to do that attunement again on any alt you play. So that's a good thing that Blizzard did that, right? It makes the game a little bit more alt-friendly. But here's the problem with playing an alt, and even for me, I literally can't afford to buy raid consumes and gem and enchant gear on 2 characters in this version of the Burning Crusade. The economy is vastly different from the last version of TBC that we played. I literally can't afford it, and that's why I'm only playing my warrior. I leveled my lock to 70, I farmed my Prebis, and I was like, I can't afford this. Like, I can't gem and enchant all this gear. There's no way. I need to save it for my warrior, because guess what? If I get a piece of gear this week on my warrior, it's hundreds of gold for me to gem and enchant that single piece of gear. Now, on the side, you got to remember, I'm also spending a couple hundred gold every single raid on my warrior for consumables. Consumables are very expensive. Anniversary, since the vanilla portion of Anniversary, has had a wild economy where things are extremely expensive. With that being said, that means it's a little bit easier to make gold, but you need time to do that, right? And sadly, I don't have 10 to 20 hours a week to farm gold to fund my raids. I just don't. So I rely on my alchemy flips. I make a few hundred gold here and there, and that's how I afford my raid consumes. But there's people out there that can farm for all of those hours. Here's where this is a problem, in my opinion, okay? Would I have an issue sitting here and farming gold and dedicating time to doing that in any version of WoW that I knew maybe wasn't going away? Probably not. I would spend the time on the game that I'm not raiding or PvPing, farming gold. My issue with that comes from the fact that TBC is seasonal this time, right? We're going to be moving over into Wrath. We got the WoW token last time in Wrath, so if I know that that's coming, why am I going to bother now? And we're also just waiting for Classic Plus. That's what I'm really waiting for. Like, yeah, I'll play Wrath of the Lich King, but I'm really here waiting for Classic Plus. That's what I want to play. I need a permanent version of this game that is not going anywhere. And then I have no problem spending my time farming things for my characters. I'd even go as far as to say that in something like Classic Plus, a permanent version of the game, do not give us account-wide raid attunements and heroic attunements or whatever is in the game. If the game is permanent and never going anywhere, let the grinds live. The problem I have with it is that it's seasonal, and I think this is the only explanation that I can come up with in my head as to why I feel like the player base this time is so different, and I almost can't even blame them. You know, we've been fighting the roster boss now for like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not kidding. We lose like 1 to 3 players every single week. Last week on raid night, we lost our 2 BIS top healers for that raid night. We had a Pug 2 healers. This, to me, is an issue, and I think that in Phase 1 of TBC, this being an issue, I'm not trying to be a doomer, but as the expansion progresses, the natural progression of any World of Warcraft expansion, any MMO really, is that you lose players at the longer that the game is out. That's just how it goes. It doesn't mean that the game is unhealthy. I think TBC is going to be very alive and very healthy for the entirety of the expansion, but our individual raid teams are definitely going to take that hit. They're definitely going to suffer. The summer is coming up. People just stop playing. It is what it is. It happens. I just wanted to talk about why I do feel like this is another kind of proof to me, you know, that I don't think seasonal WoW really works. I think people are longing for that more permanent version of the game. Yes, we're enjoying the ride while we're waiting for Classic Plus. Yes, we'll enjoy Wrath of the Lich King, but it's kind of rough to sit here and justify putting thousands of hours into multiple characters in seasonal Burning Crusade when we saw what happened to our Season of Discovery characters, right? I put thousands of hours into Season of Discovery. I have like 7 or 8 level 60s fully geared that are just never going to be played again. They just got thrown into the abyss. They'll never be played again. Nobody will ever see those characters. I didn't even get like achievements or anything to remember those characters' achievements. They're just completely gone. And it's thousands of hours of game time. Now you can argue that as long as you had fun along the way, it was worth it. And I agree with you to an extent, for sure. Absolutely was worth it. I had the best time of my life in WoW in Season of Discovery. However, I think we're hitting that period now where people are tired of seasonal content. And maybe you personally aren't, and that's completely fine. But I do think the general population, the vibe that I get from talking to people, asking about all the gold farms and everything that's going on in TBC, the way that you have to play the game, I get the same exact answers from everybody. And the answers are, why would I do that when this is ending in 10 months? Now, is it really ending in 10 months? Do we really know that? We don't know that for sure. We have a roadmap, but my estimated guess is TBC is going to run probably until around this time next year, around March. But I could be wrong on that as well. And when you have, and let me explain to you also that, for anyone who's wondering why we don't get updates until like 2 weeks before the phase is coming out, why do we not know what the end of TBC looks like and all this stuff? It's not that Blizzard doesn't know, it's that they're smart and they do most of the time know what's coming 12 months from now and all this stuff. But if they told you, you would lose all motivation to play the game. So it's a smart move on Blizzard's part, and you can't blame them. That is literally how anyone would relay this information. What happened the second that they told everyone that they were stopping development on SOD? Everyone logged off, the game died within a few days, and that is it. That's what happened. So that's why we don't get that information. That's why we don't know essentially what's coming next yet. We don't find out anything until it's very, very close, because that gives you time to get bored and realize, oh man, there's, why am I bothering if this is going to be over in 10 months? I'm not going to farm those, those gold for those consumes for raid or anything like that. You're going to underperform now. You're going to gimp your entire group. And it is what it is. It's a snowball effect of just bad gameplay, right? So I completely understand why Blizzard does that, and absolutely won't knock them for it. It does suck for the player, but unfortunately that is the way that they have to do it. Now, I do think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I think TBC, no matter what, is going to be a fun experience the entire way through. I think it's a great expansion. I do, however, after playing it a third time, think that I truly do prefer the vanilla world and setup for a Classic Plus. This isn't a Classic Plus video. I just wanted to say this. Maybe we'll talk about this in another video. I do think that there is something missing in the Burning Crusade that vanilla has to offer. So if they were basing their Classic Plus on a single version of the game, it definitely should be vanilla. Maybe pull in some TBC class design or something like that. That's fine. But world design wise, obviously has to be vanilla. TBC is my favorite expansion, always has been. I'm going to enjoy it the entire way through. I'm just noticing, the cracks are starting to show, 7 weeks in here to this version of the Burning Crusade. And I know a lot of you are gonna be like, oh yeah, of course you're gonna mention this, but there's a lot of things different in Anniversary. A lot of things that have been banned. The automated bans are going wild with people selling tank services and getting banned for it. And, if they post it in the wrong channel, they get banned. They're supposed to post it in the services channel. And if you just get a bunch of automated, people reporting you just get automatically banned, and then you have to appeal it. There's a lot of cracks here in this version of the game. And I understand, and we're all giving Blizzard a lot of leeway on this because we know that they're working on Classic Plus. So you know what? If Classic Plus launches and it's amazing, I do think that it was worth it, and it's completely fine for them to kind of, put seasonal TBC on the back burner, kind of put it on autopilot, and ignore it a little bit if it's for a greater cause like Classic Plus. If Classic Plus comes out and it's complete dog, then a lot of people are going to feel pretty shafted. But I have faith that it's going to be amazing. I think the dev team that they have working on it is going to do an incredible job. So I think that we just got to kind of enjoy the ride for what it is, enjoy it here and there. And you know what? If you're getting burnt out, log off, go play a different game, something that's not WoW. Or if you do want to play WoW, maybe go play hardcore, go check out Midnight, whatever floats your boat. There's a lot of stuff to do. I do think that this experience has been good so far. We have had some struggles. It's going to get even better. And actually, I wanted to mention this too. The gold bug that everyone's been talking about, and we all thought that the quest gold was bugged in TBC. Like when you hit level 70, the experience conversion to gold, where you're supposed to be able to quest at level 70 and earn a lot more gold than you did prior to being level 70. Everyone thought it was bugged because in Shadow Moon Valley, you got a lot less gold than people remembered or people thought. Netherstorm seems to be fine. You can make a ton of gold questing there. But, you know, I just read Slesh's Wowhead article where he kind of went into detail and researched, and it seems like the gold amounts that people are earning actually are accurate. So maybe it isn't a bug. I really don't know. I didn't research it that well, but just, you know, wanted to recap on that. Everyone thought the gold was bugged. Slesh kind of proved that maybe it isn't bugged and this is just how it actually is. So I don't really know what the truth is, but either way, I'm sure Blizzard will comment on it eventually and we will get some answers there. But either way, I want to know how your guys, you know, TBC experience is going so far. Are you seeing any of these things that I'm seeing? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you planning on playing the entire way through like myself and my guild? You know, we plan on going all the way through to Sunwell. Even if it is just on one character, kind of raid logging. You know what I'm trying to say? Let me know what your guys' plans are, how you're enjoying it so far, and, you know, if you think this version of TBC is better than the last TBC that we played, if you had played both. Because I think that last time TBC felt a lot more full. It felt a lot more wholesome. This feels a little bit like a hollow experience. It feels like there's kind of nobody running this show. And that's okay. Like I said, you know, we're giving Blizzard a lot of leeway here. I want a good Classic Plus, and if it means kind of putting this stuff on autopilot, I'm all for it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Subscribe here to the channel if you guys love Classic WoW just as much as me. We're going to be covering everything all throughout the year for TBC. If we're going to get Wrath, we'll have the Wrath guides going up. And obviously, if Classic Plus is announced, this is going to be the channel you want to be subscribed to. We are going to go nuts on making content for Classic Plus so that you guys know everything that's coming. We'll be diving in to the PTR or the beta, whatever they launch. We will have every nook and cranny of that thing recorded and talked about here on the channel for you. So subscribe if that's something you enjoy, and follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance. I'll actually be streaming later tonight. You know, it's Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We have our Karazhan raid night tonight, so that should be a lot of fun. So come hang out with me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance. There will be a link in a pinned comment down below. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.